Welcome to episode 107 of Let's Talk Geek, recorded on Wednesday, 29 August 2012. In the show, we do a Gamescom roundup with editor of MyGaming, talking about the PS Vita, Last of Us, Star Wars 1313, and more. Rumor has it that iTunes Music is coming to South Africa, and Uncapped, unshaped ADSL in South Africa with internet TV for under 1,300 Rand a month. Believe it, because someone wants to make it true. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the show. In the show today, we have James Etherington Smith, who is editor at MyGaming, joining us.
Greetings.
In the studio. We're not Skyping anybody in today. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for driving all the way through.
Thank you.
And for like all the bazillions of topics, we're not going to have time for everything, but we'll try to cover as much as we can.
We'll do it quickly, squeeze it in. It'll be fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Our regular hosts are with me as well. Tim Hawk has taken a breather, but we've got...
Gerrit Vermeulen, hi. Good evening.
And...
Johan Els, hello.
I'm Jan Vermeulen, and I will apparently be running the show.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
So you're stuck with me.
Somebody
Oh,
has
well,
to.
that's
Yep.
okay.
All right, so we've got a bunch of events coming up. For listings of all these events, you can hit stardates.co.za. And a first one that's happening, that's on the go right now, is Amaze Interact. James, you actually did the article on this, so you can actually tell us a bit more about it.
I sort of covered it a bit. Nick actually did the follow-up interview with the guy. You can go check out the in-depth interview if you want to learn more. But basically, it's a sort of art and gaming digital media mashup of things that the Goethe Institute from Germany is spearheading, and the first time they're appearing in South Africa, and it's running in Joburg for a while there.
Until the 2nd of September.
Well, that's exactly it. What is it? They're going to be showing the artistic and creative side of digital media, and games sort of falls into that. So it's not just about games, but games comes into the picture. So... You know, you can
An exhibition that you can walk through and see digital.
Yeah, I mean,
It's an exhibition.
It's like
But there's talks and stuff as
yeah. There's
well.
seminars, there's workshops, there's all sorts of things. So you can go and find experts on digital media and games and stuff to go and talk to. So
And
it sounds
spread
all
over
very
a
complicated.
bunch of
Spread
different
over
venues.
many days. I'm not sure. I think it's all at the one place. Where is it? Somewhere in Joburg.
Yeah.
Guys will have to go check the article for the details.
But another thing that's happening at Amaze is they are going to be screening, if they haven't already, and if they, I don't know how many days they're going to screen, this Indie Game the movie.
Yeah, they're screening various movies, one of which is Indie Game the movie, which hasn't been screened anywhere in South Africa before, except in Cape Town recently.
Yeah, last week.
But yeah, it's a very cool movie. If you're at all interested in indie games, the indie gaming development scene, what goes into making these games and bringing them to our consoles and computers. It's very cool insight and very well put together, very professional.
Yeah,
So
and if you can't watch it at Amaze, I mean, you can just grab it through Steam or from their website itself.
And it's cheap, $10.
No region locking, no DRM.
Full HD.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way movies should be
Director
released.
commentary. It's all very good.
Yeah. Then Gerrit wants to punt his favorite band in the world.
Sure, why not? Isochronous is launching a new album, Piece by Piece, and that'll be Wednesday, the 7th of September in Pretoria. They have their first launch party in, is it PE, I think, or something, in a couple of days. But for Pretoria, it's 7th of September at Arcade Empire, which is it's in their new venue as well.
Yeah, Arcade Empire has now been moved away
it's
from the
not
middle of nowhere
Yes.
to someplace where
It's
people
not on
might
the
be able to
corner
get
of
to.
the highway in Hanstredom anymore. Well, sorry, not Hanstredom. That name changed.
Whatever it is now out there. I don't think streets have
name.
names out
Yeah.
there. Say again?
Politically correct street name.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Whatever the politically correct.
But it's not
street.
there anymore.
Yeah.
So it's at the
Where
new
is it?
Arcade Empire. I can't remember.
But it's in Pretoria somewhere.
Yes, it's in Pretoria.
Google it. Google it.
Google it.
Google Plus it. You will find it. Or just hit Isochronous' website. I'm sure they've got it listed on there. Then
They
6 to
probably
9
do.
September at Gallagher Estate is Hobby X, and you can usually check out a whole bunch of hobbies there that you want to try. If you want to try out something, if you don't want to, even if you don't want to commit to a hobby, that's a great place to just go do something for a day, crafty, get the craft out of your system for the year, and then go on.
Or for
if you
half a
want-
year, because they usually have them in 6 month stints.
Yeah. And if you want to take up something, like I know the last Hobby X, you took up the manly art of chainmailing.
That was 2 years ago, yes.
Okay, cool.
Of chainmailing. And
Yeah,
I think I
Not
was the
sending
only
those,
guy in
like
that
if you don't
class.
pass it on to 10 more people, your cat will die that night. that kind of chainmail.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well done. Well done. Good pun. Good pun.
Nice one.
Yeah.
No, this is
Actual armor.
Actual chain. Not necessarily
useful.
armor. The one that they were actually doing in the class was more of a decorative chainmail, but
Okay.
you get various types of chainmail.
It's the kind of
so it was
chainmail
very
you put in your little dog,
The little
shoot a photo
chainmail-
of, and put on
chainmail
YouTube.
petticoat.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, but you get a whole
High
bunch
fashion.
of different, chainmail ways that you can hook up the rings, different sizes of rings. It's fantastic.
And how long did that hobby last?
Couple of months. I still have the rings. And
Do you still have the suit of armor? Because that would be cool.
Oh, well, I have parts. So I was busy working on one, and I have little bits and pieces. They just kind of need to be put together.
One day.
But it's still there, and I still have all the links.
Chainmail man.
Yeah, exactly. One day I'll get down to it. For the Isochronous one, it's 265 The Highway Street in Equestria.
Equestria.
Yeah.
Okay, lekker. That deep behind the Boerewors curtain, that one. I love it. Then we've got iWeek happening from the 10th to the 14th of September.
Ooh, Cape Town.
That's 10 kilometers from the Cape Town City Centre, apparently, in a La-di-da hotel. Looks really cool. I think it's free to register. It's always free to register.
Yeah.
And iWeek is always cool if you can go. I'm disqualified because it's in Cape Town. So I can't get down there. I don't know if anybody else will be able to get down there. We usually attend, but...
Yeah, the last
Yeah, but
one
it's
I've ever
usually
attended.
it's in Joburg. Last
Yeah,
time it was
well,
in Joburg.
around. I mean, it was in Centurion, and then it was in Krugersdorp, or the other way around. So, it's always been fairly accessible for us. This time around, not so much. Then we've got Software Freedom Day, and Science Hacker Day on 15 September. I hear organisation for that is going swimmingly, straight from the horse's mouth.
And
he's
I
not
hear
here
that-
today to give a report back, but he'll be able to do that next week.
week. I hear that seats are going fast, and that it is we do only have limited seating. So if you want seats, you need to get in on that. Pronto.
Then
Do it
we've
now.
got PyCon ZA on
Also in Cape Town.
Also in Cape Town, 4th and the 5th of October at the Pavilion Clock Tower.
Okay, what is
Also-
PyCon?
Python convention.
Conference.
you.
Yes, convention.
For South Africa.
Full names.
Yeah. It's PyCon.
It's PyCon.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called. PyCon ZA.
Exactly. Then we've got RAGE, which stands for Really Awesome Gaming Expo,
Capital.
And why is it awesome?
because it's massive.
It is the
Is
the
the-
land is the largest of its kind on the
this-
African continent. If you
Yes.
believe that, I mean, maybe there's a land somewhere that we just don't know.
No.
about.
I highly doubt that.
no,
In
I
Egypt,
doubt it.
maybe, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still highly doubt
What was
that.
the
Not
final
anymore,
number
anyway.
count that they're going to do for the land?
This year it's over 2,400 again. I can't remember the exact.
But it's not a lot
numbers.
more than last year, but it's still,
but it's still more than last year.
That is quite a lot more than last year.
It's a lot of
Many
guys to
servers.
No,
hook
last
up
year was
to one
2040.
network.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
impressive.
That's 5 to 7 October. And
That will be at,
At
the
the
Dome.
Dome.
And
Yeah.
there'll be all the other cool
Coca-Cola
stuff:
Dome.
cosplay competitions, do gaming championships.
land tickets are
NAG
sold
Gaming
out.
League
We did
Champions.
warn you
Yep,
about
of
it
course,
before they
within
went on
hours,
sale.
within
They're sold
hours.
out within
I
hours.
got to say, it's probably the best computer fair we've still got left
Yep.
in this country.
Yep.
Sure. And,
And,
there,
yeah,
we'll
we-
be there
we will be there.
recording. We might not be streaming, but we'll stream when we can, I'm sure.
No, let's just say we're not going to be streaming because
Yeah.
last year we battled to get signal out of that place.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
I mean, 2,400.
The cell phone networks
Geeks.
just go, I give up.
Yes.
Just no.
I give
You
up.
can't make calls. You can get SMSs. That's it.
We'll try it on ATA because no one uses that anyway.
Zing! Then we've got the My Broadband Conference.
Yay!
10th of October.
Registration's open.
Yeah.
Ah.
We
They've been
announced
open
this
for a week, I
last
think.
week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Again,
Yeah.
limited seats. If you want to be there, you
free
Well,
registration.
limited seats, but they also do have quite a bit of space.
And there's
as far as I
overflow
understand, they have some
venues,
overflow
so-
venues too, and we will be streaming that.
Oh,
More
good.
importantly,
Excellent. We'll be streaming
So
that.
come along if
Yes.
you want a free lunch.
Wait,
Lunch is on Vodacom.
there's lunch.
There's lunch.
Lunch is on Vodacom, yeah. Then ZACon is on the 27th of October. That's a security conference, and that's at UJ. Then we've got the beginnings of a South African Discworld convention forming. And so in a lead up to this, they want to launch this convention in 2014. And as sort of a build up to this, they're going to have an event coming in on the 24th of November. That's also in Cape Town. So go check that out. The link will be in the show notes. I hope somebody is pasting it into the IRC because I haven't been able to, and I see we've got like 2 tablet people here today,
I'll
so
do
they
it.
can't copy and paste.
I'll do it.
Cool. Just the link
we can.
No, we can copy and paste.
because our bot automatically does cool stuff with the link to make it more contextual. Cool. That's it for the year's events we have right now, but that takes us up until the end of November. So
Good grief.
short of Christmas, I think we've got it covered. If you've got a cool geek event coming up that we have missed,
Please let us know.
please feel free to let us know. All right, so with that, into the show. If you are watching us live, you can join us in the IRC, rc.ltnet.tv, port 6667, #LTNet's the channel, or you can just go to rc.ltnet.tv and you'll hit the mobile client. Or if you can click pop-out chat button or video and chat button.
That's if you go to live.ltnet.tv.
Well, hopefully if you're watching this live, that's where you are.
On that screen, you can click pop-out chat, and it's over there.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter, Let's Talk Geek, G plus us, Let's Talk Network, or we've got a YouTube channel. We're on Facebook, apparently.
I don't have access to that.
Cool, and we've got a wiki of like everything we've ever done. Wiki.letstalknetwork.tv, maintained by
Everyone.
and the Mixer. All right. So, if you're still watching us after all of that, thank you for sticking around. And so, the big news of today was that there was the big news of today is that iTunes is apparently coming to South Africa. So the way this news broke was actually quite interesting. Toby Shapshak was at an event called Music Exchange. And
what it was.
Yeah.
We were sitting there wondering what on earth this event was.
Yeah. So the event is called Music Exchange, and there was a guy up called Joel Keenan from Africori. Africori is a digital music distribution company, and but Joel Keenan's involvement in the industry is like 20 years worth, and he's worked for Universal, he's worked for Sony BMG, he's also headed up mp3.com in Europe, according to his bio, right? So anyway, so he stood up and said, oh, by the way, iTunes is coming to South Africa next month. Toby Shapshak tweeted this, and it just naturally spread like wildfire. And so we caught up with Joel. He was quite a difficult man to reach, and he confirmed that he said it, and he confirmed that, or he explained that this is from an inside source. He himself is not involved with iTunes. The iTunes South Africa launch, though they do provide aggregation services, but an inside source has told him that a rollout for South Africa is underway. I contacted both Core, the local distributors of Apple products, and Apple themselves, and they came back very quickly, suspiciously quickly, in fact. And Core said there has been no announcement from Apple, and we have no further information. And Apple said we do not comment on rumor and speculation.
Well, that's basically says it all, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, just to confirm, iTunes is available in South Africa.
Well, yes, this is iTunes Music.
Yeah, you can't buy.
Now possibly you'll be able to buy music on iTunes in South Africa.
With a South African account.
You have a South African account.
At the moment, the way you have to do it
and a South African credit card.
Is you make a US account, then you have to start buying vouchers, or you make maybe a Kenyan account. Can you do it?
There's no music on Kenya.
No music on Kenya. So you have to make a US account, and then you have to buy vouchers and buy music like that.
You can do it the UK way. Tim does it that way. He's got a UK account, and he's got a UK credit card.
Yeah.
And then,
or you need a US credit card. You need a country-specific credit card. You can't use your South African one.
Okay, but now the good old question, how much South African music is actually going to be on there?
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see, because Simfy, which we'll talk about a bit later in the show, which is a streaming service a lot like Spotify, recently launched, and it has a healthy amount of South African music on there. No Richard van der Westhuizen for bullies like me, who likes to listen to Tussen Trainer.
I haven't actually checked that. That's a little sad.
Yeah, so not yet. Maybe I'll find out from Richard if he plans on listing. He's not a Nokia either. Anyway.
We should totally get him on there.
Exactly. He needs to go digital.
So yes. Kickstarter campaign.
Who?
Richard van der Westhuizen.
But in any case,
Should I sing it for you? No, we'll get copyright infringements on YouTube or something. Anyway, so yeah. It remains to be seen.
So it's going to be iTunes, you buy the album and you owe it, or it's going to be
Simfy. 60 rand a month.
See, the thing is, we have Nokia Avi Music, where you can buy your music from for a fairly decent price.
Who?
Nokia Avi Music.
Oh, Nokia.
Yes. Yes, that company that's trying to make Windows phones and sucking at it. Well, actually, they're making the best Windows phones you can buy, which is not saying much. But they have a really good music service.
Are they actually not the only phone still making Nokia?
No, there are going to be others making Windows Phone 8.
Okay.
They're just the preferred partner. From that segue, they do have their Avi Music, and you can buy albums for like 80 Rand an album, 100 Rand an album, so it's not a bad price.
But that's what you pay at the store.
No, at a store you're paying 140.
200 grand an album.
Maybe even
If you're
200.
buying with a Temptation album. or
If it's
something.
local content, you're paying upwards of 120 rand. The only way that you're getting it for cheaper than that is if you go to a gig where they're selling it to you for 100.
Okay.
So, what they have digitally there is not a bad price. Now, of course, it is 256K AAC, and it's the same on iTunes.
Is it AAC or MP3s?
It should be AAC. On iTunes, it's AAC. I'm fairly sure it's AAC on...
Nokia.
On
I
Nokia.
download MP3s from Nokia.
Okay. Well, maybe they vary between those ones. But the cool thing about Nokia is when you buy the thing, they give you your rights, what you're allowed to do with it. It's right in there. They say, you can write this to CDs, we don't care. You can copy this to your devices, we don't care. Which, according to South African law, I mean, we have this really wonky law where if you copy your music from your PC to your iPod, you're infringing.
Yeah, so
Or
Nokia by specifying
by
your
default,
rights,
Nokia, by saying you can do this with it, wipe that clean.
they fix our
say that
copyright law.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, not quite, but I mean, they
They
fix our default
bypass that crappy
licenses.
law that we have going there.
Yeah.
But this is then competition for that. But I know, or I think a lot of people haven't been using Avi, even though it is a pretty good service. And
The
then
thing is,
iTunes
I mean,
would
if you
at least give
compare
people-
iTunes to Nokia, in fairness, even though
they
Nokia
have
is great,
a massive selection.
and iTunes is far more usable. So Nokia's
Arguable. I can't use iTunes on Ubuntu.
yeah. I mean, on the platforms that you can use it. So what's going for Nokia is that you can use its web interface, but it's not fantastic. You have to download songs one at a time.
Yes.
They don't have a downloader application. And other than
for,
that,
for Windows, they do.
Yeah,
I
then
don't
you're
know
still
about
screwed
Mac.
in Ubuntu, aren't you?
Yes, well, at least I can go to the web and
download them one
it
at a time.
one at a time, which is not so...
Which is why I'm using 7 Digital, which, by the way, are now fixing their region restrictions thing. So it
Aw.
looks like 7 Digital is going to be out of the equation sometime soon as well.
Okay.
Anyway, I think we've spent a lot of time on this.
yeah.
Does anybody have more questions on this?
No,
If there are more
no,
questions from the IRC, feel free to field them, and we'll try to answer them a bit later in the show. But from that, we have a man in the studio who has flown to Germany and back, all in the name of good gaming.
Indeed.
James, what you got to go to Gamescom, which from all reports is a pretty damn sweet.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is the mecca of gaming, at least for Europe. And since we're sort of just down there beneath Europe, we tend to like flying straight up and visiting them. And over 270 odd thousand people pass through the doors of Gamescom over the 4-day period. So, I mean, it's a massive event. Go and see all the latest and greatest games on display. Plan your holiday purchases. See what's coming, further down the line. And of course, all the journalists as well, get hands-on with the stuff and interview developers and stuff. And I mean, it's all happening in one place. It's really cool.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Cologne is a beautiful city to visit as well. So it's not all bad.
So take us behind the veil. Like, what kind of scary antics do the journalists get up to? When
You know
they
what?
hit
There's
Cologne?
there's a lot of working, believe it or not. It's meeting after meeting, presentation after presentation. The developers are there earning their paychecks. I mean, they're giving the same presentation over and over again for 4 days in a row. The journalists are
must be so...
doing the rotation. Yeah, you can see everyone's all very perky on day one, and by day 4, the moods have soured a bit, but people do still remember to smile and stuff, so it's fun. And I mean, lots of free coffee and bagels and stuff. That's what journalists can look forward to behind the veil. And that's in the very... very sedate business section where they just have little booths so you can find the place, versus the consumer section, which is just massive, pumping, full of people, full of noise and lights and, massive exhibitions of whatever game is on display by whatever publisher, which is a lot of fun if you're a consumer.
Compared to Rage, like when you're at the height of Rage on Friday or Saturday. And it's pumping, it's noisy. People are climbing on their megaphones to be like, "Oh, we're giving away free this!
Let's
Everybody
say,
come and shout how cool
if
we
you
are
can
in front of our
imagine,
stand."
Rage at its peak, that's like one hall of Gamescom. Now, Gamescom consumer area is spread over about 4 or 5 halls, depending. And these are massive halls. They're much bigger than the Dome. They're about twice the size of what you can fit in the
grief.
Dome. And they are packed. I mean, the Dome is sort of half of it is expo stuff, and then the other half there's a LAN. So this is just all massive stands. So it's lots of fun, and there's competitions taking place. I mean, they had the World Championships, various World Championships, World Cyber Games, League of Legends Championships, all sorts of stuff was taking place. So you can go and watch all those. They had grandstands set up. I mean, the crowds are packed in. And it's not just games. You can go and watch skateboarders, extreme trick biking guys. You can go race go-karts. There's a huge entertainment hall, which I actually didn't mention, that sort of is like a basement level, which is underneath all these massive halls. There's a cosplay village. So it's really a lot of fun for, we were discussing earlier, I think €14 for a day pass, which is in European terms about a night out at the movies. So it's something different. It's really cool.
And what were your highlights of the conference?
Well, in terms of games myself, some of the things that stood out there are obviously some new announcements from Sony about the PS Vita. I just want to cruise through them quickly just so we make sure we mention all these things. But they're definitely going to be supporting that PS Vita a lot moving into the holiday season. Lots of cool new games, lots of new IPs on the PS Vita. They've integrated cross buy, so if you buy something on PS3 and there's a PS Vita version of the game, you get the Vita version for free. In which case, there'll probably be some sort of integration with the Vita, so you can control the game on your TV using the Vita. Some sort of special levels. They showed Little Big Planet as an example. So you will control Sackboy using the Vita. There will be special levels that only work on the Vita. You have to, solve the puzzle on the Vita, and then it shoots you back to the TV where something else will happen. Back to the Vita to, solve another puzzle. So very interactive use of the Vita there. And a few new IPs from Sony. Tearaway was a good one. And that was also on Vita. So that's one to look forward to. From Media Molecule, who are famous for Little Big Planet.
Okay.
So, expect more physics puzzling fun from them. So that was definitely the highlight from Sony. Nintendo and Microsoft just didn't want to pitch up at Gamescom this year, so Sony kind of stole the show. They had the stage themselves to really punt that Vita. So I think it's had a bit of a slow start, rocky start with sales and not many games. But leading up to the holiday season, I think you're going to see a bit more life out of that device. It's actually looking really cool. And I had my Vita with me the whole time, and I was playing Rayman Origins, in my downtime, and it's a really good device. A bit pricey, but cool.
Microsoft and Nintendo not showing up because they don't have much to show before the holiday season?
They went big at E3, so
but that was towards the middle of the year already.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, the beginning of June. So a couple of months later, they maybe think, now do we have to do Gamescom? We just did this. The Wii U was on display at E3, so Nintendo thought, nah. Why bother?
All right.
Yeah.
No, cool. All right. So, what else at Gamescom struck your fancy?
There were some new games announced. So Star Wars 1313 was actually announced at E3, but they showed it off a bit more at Gamescom. And I think it's just one of the most stunning games I've seen visually. It's LucasArts pulling all their resources from across their various production studios. So you've got the CGI guys and the sound effects and all that stuff.
Very good.
And this is very much a next generation game. They haven't talked about it, but you just take one look at it and you think this is not going to run on an Xbox.
Next generation game, but it's going to run on hardware, today's hardware.
Yeah, sure. They had a really monstrous machine there, PC, powering the demo. And, I sat down and they said, all right, settle in. We're going to show you a gameplay demo or a demo of the game. And I thought this was all CGI pre-rendered cutscene stuff. And the guy had the controller in his hand and, you didn't really take much notice. And then all of a sudden he's playing. And I literally was stunned. Everyone in the room let out a little gamer gasp. They were like, whoa. And as soon as they saw it go from the amazing cutscene into the gameplay, you could see this is something special because the level of detail is outstanding. It's very much still in production. The guy said, look, even these characters here, they aren't even the final characters. This is almost a proof of concept for the game. So the story goes that you are on, I must just bring up my notes here, make sure I don't get it right and annoy the Star Wars fanboys. Coruscant, I think, is the name of the planet. Is that right? Coruscant. There we go. And the planet is, there's cities all across the surface, but they've built down into the core of the planet. And you are going down to level 1313, which is where one of the main criminal syndicates, has made their home on that level. And you are a bounty hunter, and that's all we really know about the story so far. You're going to be infiltrating their ranks. And
do I get to be called Fett as a bounty hunter?
We don't know. As I say, we don't even know who the characters are yet. They had placeholder characters in place, but it's looking impressive. So it's definitely one to watch out for. Cool. So that was definitely a highlight. Next up, I think Last of Us really stood out as well. That is coming out soon, I think by the end of this year. And they just showed off more gameplay. They had the voice actors in to show us a bit of how, the work that went into the production of the game. Lots of care and attention to detail, motion capture all the way. One of the things I thought was interesting, they had an artist. They have an artist who will look at the actor's face and frame by frame recreate their facial animations in the game. So they do use reference point little nodules on the face to get the big motions. But he'll do the fine details, and it really shows in the gameplay videos where you see the characters interacting with each other. It looks very realistic, and the visuals are really impressive. This is a PS3 game, so it shows you what you can squeeze out of that PS3 if you have a development team focused on just one single platform instead of trying to get it out on all the main platforms.
So this is just going to come to PS3.
Yep, PS3 exclusive. A bit of a survival horror. The human race has been infested with a fungus that causes you to go all zombie-like. It's actually based on a real fungus that you get out there. It's a fungus that mind controls ants.
Oh,
yes.
To do its bidding. And it
there's lots of things like that in nature if you go looking for it. Yeah. And nature is scary.
So, and the reason you leave your quarantine zone is you'll see Joel, who's the main guy beating everyone up. He is escorting Ellie, who is the daughter of one of his best friends who died. He has to get her across America for some as yet unknown reason. So he's obviously got to brave the wastes of humanity. And you'll come across bandits, zombies, and it's going to be a very sort of deep character story as well. I mean, the action, as you can see, is very visceral, very brutal. When you see the gameplay, I mean, Joel takes a punch and blood flies, and you almost feel stunned for that blow that he took. But then he reacts back and he lands a heavy punch, and he'll grab a gun and blow the guy's brains out right in front of you. And Ellie is standing there, a 13-year-old girl, being completely shocked by this. She's never seen anything like it. So it's a very deep character-driven story. It's going to be a good one, I think.
As a PC gamer who happens to have picked up a cheap PS3, I might actually consider that.
Oh, definitely. I think the review copy is going to get legs around the MyGaming office. Definitely.
Cool. And then there's a whole bunch of new games that were announced as well, but we'll get to those a bit later. I wanted to chat a bit about Simfy, which we talked about earlier, as something that's launched recently, which is a streaming music platform as opposed to what we get through Nokia Music and through the rumored iTunes that's coming to South Africa. Now, some of us have had a chance to use it. They launched at the start of the week. Folks who pre-ordered or pre-registered, or I don't know how you register before you register, but it's apparently possible.
Well, you were able to put your email address. Yeah, and that was it.
And if you did that, then they gave you a 3 days early access, I think.
Yeah, at the start of the weekend. I think.
All right. So I don't know, Johan, if you've had a chance to play with it at all.
I was here when you picked up the story that it was coming.
Yes.
And they still had the clock running, but I haven't actually used it. So.
Yeah, Gerrit, you've had a chance to use it. So it's in the hands of normal people now, and not just tech journalists and influencers. And what do the normal people think?
Pretty good.
Okay.
In general. I've had some issues with Air because, as well, I'm on Ubuntu, and as soon as you try and download the application, it goes, sorry, this is only available for Windows and Mac. So it prevents you, which is weird because it's Air. It's not supposed to care about that.
Yes.
But it prevents you from that. I still want to try and download it in Windows and then see if I can get it to run on Ubuntu at all. But what I've done is I've resorted to the Flash player. I actually have a Flash player in the browser, except Flash on Ubuntu is so crap, and I realized that this week. It's so utterly bonkers crap that it freezes up my browser. It freezes up Chrome. So I've resorted to installing Fogger and putting Simfy in there. And that seems to work.
What's Fogger?
Fogger is one of the Ubuntu apps. I think we spoke about it briefly a couple of weeks ago. There was an Ubuntu app challenge. And Fogger takes a web app and makes a little sandboxed. It's not a full browser. It just makes a sandboxed environment for that app specifically, and you can do this with various kinds of apps. So I've done that. Took a bit of tweaking to get Flash working in that, but you can do that too.
The feedback on the My Broadband forums has also been largely positive. I mean, there are folks who say, "Listen, I'm not going to pay the data to stream a song and then not have it on my hard drive afterwards. It's just crazy." But there are guys who have used the service.
Okay. I'm using it on Uncapped, so I really don't care.
Yeah.
But even then, you can cache offline. So I've actually done that on the mobile client. The Android app is also a little rough around the edges, but decent. I haven't had any forced closes or any. This app has stopped working, but I've cached a couple of songs or a full album, the new 10 Years album, which I didn't even know that was out, and listen to that offline. I saw there were some complaints from other people that they couldn't play offline content even though, or when they were offline completely, they needed a connection.
Okay.
Which was kind of silly, but I disconnected completely and played it, and it was fairly happy. Didn't play the whole album, but I managed to play a couple of songs, so that was okay.
All right. Just while we're talking about the Android client, a problem I did experience, but it was really just a once-offer, is that the button that brings up the play tray
Stopped working.
It disappeared completely.
Okay. Mine was there, but when I push or I try and pull it up, it just does nothing.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get to the actual music.
And
controls.
so the app actually has an exit option.
Yes.
It's one of the few Android apps I've seen with an actual exit option that you need to physically kill the app,
Yes.
relaunch it, and then it works again.
Yeah, but you have to use either the exit option or you have to go fairly deep into Android itself and then force close it. Those are your two options.
Either
you can't
task
just go
kill?
back.
Yeah.
No, stay away from the task killers. Don't listen to what Jan is saying. So either you have to close it yourself or just use that exit button that they put in there. So it seems a bit of a hack for things like
Going
this.
deep into Android and killing it that way, still task killing it.
Yes, but you don't want to be
In any
downloading a freaking
case,
task killer
okay,
because those things
okay.
automate things
All
for
right.
you, which you really don't need.
So something you did mention is that I also noticed this is that there are some esoteric bands listed, and some of the ones I found was Walk Off the Earth.
I didn't actually look for them. I found some indie bands.
And George Watsky, which are internet famous
Interesting.
people.
And Peter Hollins is also on there.
Okay, interesting.
But I didn't find...
These are all guys who got
I'm not
famous
gonna
through
mention
YouTube,
them.
by
Yeah,
the way.
Yeah.
Who seem to have struck some sort of distribution deal with the guys that are
I haven't
supported on
checked for
Simfy.
Lindsay Sterling, but yeah, we'll get to that. So
Yeah.
they've signed up some fairly
But Rammstein is not there. That's a bigger mission. I don't know. There must be some sort of rights thing that they're still sorting out, or that's still getting
which
loaded.
is very weird because Simfy is German.
It's a German-based
company. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
and I'm like, where's my Rammstein?
Okay.
Like, having no Rammstein on Simfy is...
Another very esoteric band that I couldn't find was Korpiklani, but
Could
that's
also not
more
find
a friend of
Korpiklani.
ours. He's like, a friend asks me, have you listened to any of their stuff? I go, I don't know. Let's see if Simfy has it. And they didn't.
Yeah.
So
Bands
couldn't
I haven't
listen to any
searched
of
for
their
that we still need to test is something like Fintroll. Ailstorm is there.
Good news.
Which is pirate metal.
Yes.
That's good stuff, but
Yeah.
not all their stuff. Only two of the albums are there, the Leviathan and Black Sails at Midnight, not their older stuff.
Okay.
Which I actually quite like.
And then
I mean, I like their older
a little
stuff.
bit more interesting.
Okay. You're not talking about bands.
Yes,
All right.
but this
Let's
is
talk
content-
about this service.
This is content that they don't have. So this is what we're moaning about here. I also found another one, Delane, where they have their older stuff, but they don't have their
The latest
newer
album. Within Temptation's the same.
So this is some
Bear
sort
in
of
mind, they must
licensing
possibly
thing.
like any broadcast or any radio station, just got to show the figures and they'll get the labels. So as soon as they got
They
enough
have the labels.
subscribers-
They have all the big labels.
Where's the content?
Where's
so,
the content?
So they did say they are busy loading the stuff.
Yeah.
So I think
And they've-
after a month, we should definitely go back, search for all these things again, and see how,
find it.
after a month,
And
if these things have been
You'll
loaded or
probably
not.
have an Android update and you'll have all these things fixed.
We hope so.
The air question of earlier, it's probably a DRM related where I know the DSTV On Demand app also is an air application, but it only works in Windows and Mac because of the DRM that it actually launches. So it could be something related to that.
Well, Simfy actually just uses encryption, so it actually it stores the downloaded songs in a blob. In a default location on the file system, which might actually be an issue because in my case, it installs it to the C drive. Now, if your C drive is a limited capacity SSD, like if you've got a 64 gig SSD just for Windows, and all of a sudden, like it's caching songs onto that thing, when you normally have your songs on your 3 terabyte E drive, then there's no real. I can't see a way to configure that. So anyway, that shouldn't be an issue on Linux either, because it just uses. I think from what this looks of it just uses standard encryption, encrypts the blob, leaves it on the file system. So like, I definitely want to test.
And
it on
then
Linux.
how
I'm
does
sure it'll work.
if it was DRM, what about the Flash player? How would that work? Because they have a web-based
No,
Flash player
no.
as
We're
well.
talking about the offline content
Yes.
DRM.
Well, okay.
The Flash Play doesn't
The Flash
store it
Player
offline.
won't.
Oh, you mean for stored offline content?
Yes,
Is this,
yes.
okay.
No, but I mean
Yeah.
that's from what you said earlier.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
using the Air to store it offline.
Yes.
Which is Air is a developer.
Yeah, okay.
All right, but getting back to the app, as you're saying
Yes.
rightly, you noticed that Discovery wasn't 100%.
This is the service in general. This is. I would expect them to have better discovery mechanisms in place. So when you're listening, or when you select a band, or you look at an artist or whatever, they have a little bar on the side for for other bands that are similar to this one, or other bands you might be interested in. Now, I want to see over time whether this improves, because I'm listening to all sorts of music. And what I want them to do is I want them to look at all the songs that I'm listening to and then compare it to what other people are doing and sort of help me discover new artists in that way. So other people have listened to this, so you might like that sort of thing. At the moment, the sidebar looks pretty static. So you go to an artist's page and you're presented with like 7 or 8 different artists on that side. But it looks like every time you go back to that page, it's the same artists. So it's not changing. And I want to see if it actually changes.
So they've got discovery, but it's not working there.
Well, it's not working the way I want it to work.
Okay.
I want it to be a smarter discovery than what it currently is.
And how does it look? Does it look at least pretty? Is it something that's...
It's usable. I don't know if there's anything I can really compare it to.
Okay.
I haven't had problems with it. Or problems with actually using the web interface. And they have a search bar at the top. You search for your artist, you go to the artist, you play the album.
And you can make your own playlists.
You can make your own playlists that you can then also cache offline. You have favorites that you can do.
And you say it's a monthly fee of 60 Rand. So what
monthly
happens?
60.
So once a month you need to reconnect to the content to keep it offline, I'm going to guess.
Maybe. We'll have to test that after a month. At the moment, I'm still running.
No, it won't log you in. So in other words... but
what about offline content after a month? So if I cache things for a month and I haven't logged into the app at all, after that month, when it's time to pay again, will my offline content stop working?
That sort of stuff.
We can test that.
Okay,
but now, bottom line for me, is it worth 60 Rand a month?
I think so.
If you've been, buying 2 CDs a month, this might be a good
I mean, 60 Rand a month is maybe, if you're hitting it lucky, it's a CD on Avi. But in general, a CD on Avi is 80 Rand. On iTunes, arms up in the air what it's going to be, who knows. But say it's $10, which is above 60 Rand a month. So it's less than an album a month. If you're buying hard copy albums, it's 1 album every 2 months.
Okay.
Which is not bad. And you're getting a very good song selection. And you can stream that wherever you are, cache it offline.
192 kbps MP3s.
Yeah.
So
audio files won't enjoy it very much.
And it is a bit bandwidth intensive, but I think it's a good compromise.
85, what did they say? 85 megs an hour. So for people on Uncapped, you won't care.
Yeah.
People on mobile broadband, you will care.
Yeah, you're gonna sting, and it's gonna. But it's a cool trade off between quality and compression.
Honestly, they can't go lower than that. Than what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
They could give you an option that says, "I'm not on a mobile device, so just bring it down for me."
I wouldn't listen to that.
They could give you that.
They could. Whether people will then actually find that option. So you'd have to make it easy enough to find and for people to know about it. Okay. Because by default, I want the higher quality one.
All right. So another thing that's happened in the last week is Telkom has did amend its lead generation page. It's basically where you go, you're like, I would like to buy this service from you, or this service from you with this account. Call me, please. Essentially. And so they put 20 megabit per second and 40 megabit per second DSL in there. And somebody with hawk eyes on the My Broadband forums, I think, spotted this. And we did an article about it, and those options have subsequently vanished. So...
no 40 megabit per second for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact is the MSAN rollout is still happening. But it's going to be a fairly long-term project in my terms. I think in business terms, they call it a medium-term project.
How long are we talking? 5 to 10 years?
No. 0 to 5 years.
0 to 5 years.
2 to 5 years, I guess.
Maybe tomorrow, maybe 5 years.
No, so as far as I have it, they do have some test nodes up. And as far as I have it, some people have been cut over to those test nodes. But they're just serving normal stuff through there for now. So MWeb has said that they want in on any sort of VDSL trial that Telkom wants to run. So all that stuff still needs to happen. They need to sort out what the business model is going to be for such a high-speed connection, how much to charge for the connection, how much to charge for the account, what's going to work from a business perspective for them, and what people are willing to pay. I mean, that's the other thing. I'm willing to pay a fair amount of money for a connection like that, but I don't have bottomless pockets.
Yeah.
No, why would you say you pay a fair amount of money for that?
Because it's bleeding fast.
The equipment they're putting on the other side is exactly the same. I mean, it's not like...
It's not quite. I mean, they're replacing all their exchanges with MSANs.
No.
So that they're overhauling the whole network, the whole local loop to make this work.
Are they actually replacing this the exchange, or are they
Yes,
just actually upgrading the bloody thing from ATM to something that works?
No, the exchange is being short-circuited. The MSAN will eventually, they said, replace the exchange entirely.
So that's a enhanced service they're offering. So why the hell must I be paying for it?
Well, that's kind of how it works,
That's
right?
kind of the business model that they're going for.
roll out infrastructure, people pay for it.
Okay, let me rephrase myself.
Build it and they will come.
When they now go to the manufacturer and say, I want a DSLAM card so I can connect my ADSL user to my network, are they still getting an option that says, yes, Telkom, would you like a 2 meg card, a 4 meg card, a 10 meg card, or a 20 meg card?
Okay, but
they're all 40 meg cards now.
No, but the MSAN works. Look, the bottom line is that you have to scale things to. The scale is not about what it costs. The scale is about what people are willing to pay. And
it costs them the same than what the technology cost them 5 years ago.
So
they're not paying.
Well,
more
do you know that for a fact? I mean, I don't know that for a fact.
Check it. Oh, great. I mean,
dear Huawei, what do you charge Telkom for an MSAN? I don't know. They just don't share information like that. So, however, I'll schmooze some people and see if they're willing to talk to me.
Understand what I'm saying? 10 years ago, when you bought a Switch, you paid 500 Rand for a whatever. Okay, you paid 5,000
Remember, they're
Rand
not
for a
putting
Switch.
in just upgraded DSLAM cards.
Today, you're getting a 10 gig Switch for the same price.
Yes. The thing is, they're putting down a whole new cab. Look, the fact is, the decision comes down to over how long a period you want to amortize your investment, right? Big financial terms here.
Yes.
How long is it going to take you to pay back that investment and show return to your shareholders, right? That's the decision that has to be made.
I just think your comment about, no, I'm fairly... Bugger that.
Dude, if somebody lays fiber to my house, right, I will find the money somewhere to pay the 50 grand for them to lay fiber to my house.
Yes, I'd like to see how the ISPs are going to service that, because they've got a...
That's what I mean. It's Telkom and the ISPs.
The ISPs have got a real model they need to build on how they're actually going to deliver that amount of data.
Telkom kind of has to as well, because they've got a... I mean, as much as we hate Telkom, the fact is they have to service these things. The ISPs, yes.
I'm just saying that the crunch, and I would like somebody to confirm that. The crunch of the equipment going to exchange is exactly what they would have spent...
It's not an exchange.
10 years ago.
It's an MSAN. So it's a whole different ball of wax. It's a different ball of wax.
It's still a flippin' brick wall with a bunch of equipment
There's no wall.
inside of it.
It's a cabinet. Like if you go and check...
So it's even less.
So it's like...
Instead of 10 generators, they now need one.
Yeah, but they have more of them. So in order to shorten the local loop, they put down more of them closer to people's houses. That's the plan. So there are trade-offs to be made, right? So like it would be great to be able to get 40 megabit per second VDSL for the same I pay for 4 megabit ADSL right now. I'm not holding my breath that that's going to happen.
Well, I'd really like to
not
just
right now.
Somebody must
Maybe
just go
eventually.
check on that, because I honestly believe it's the same thing. The capital expense on that equipment is the same. Yes, some places they might be replacing. They might replace the whole. But like you just said, they're going to use less space. They're going to use less power. They're actually going
Yes, but it costs manpower to put down these new things. There's massive capital investment.
Plus, it wasn't
revamp
just
the network.
replacing. There's 1,000 more.
Say again?
There's 1,000 more of these units going out there as well.
Yes, exactly.
So,
So the mixer says we're not allowed to argue on the show, apparently.
but
What's
but
the
isn't
point
that what
then?
the show is based on?
I'm out. I'm leaving.
Can
Call
I
the
make
president.
calls? Can I place a call? Okay, in any case, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the I think we leave it there and go back to gaming.
Okay.
Excellent.
Which will require 40 megabits per second VDSL one day if these guys have anything to say about it.
Well, if we ever want to play some cloud gaming,
On live, which has died and come back
that's
from
a
the dead.
whole other
Yeah.
topic. Yeah.
And has lost its CEO.
No, he's still there, but again,
No,
whole
he's
other
been
topic.
replaced as far as I know.
I think he's staying on for
Maybe
it's hard to keep
staying
up.
on for
Yeah,
something else.
anyway.
There
Anyway,
are some
the new
fantastic
games-
articles
So there's
out
been a
there.
bunch of new
Sorry.
games
So-
announced.
Yeah.
Who?
on live. It's
Who? In any case.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
We won't know about it in South Africa because
Yeah,
Go on, run.
it's a really pointless topic. Yeah. as I said, Sony sort of held center stage a lot at Gamescom because they were the only guys there, any of the console players there anyway. So they had a few games. Until Dawn, I just want to skim through, was one of their new IPs they announced. It's a sort of teen horror movie-esque sort of themed game.
Oh, no.
Unless it's anything like Cabin in the Woods, I'm not interested.
Which I haven't
seen. Does anybody sparkle?
It's not a vampire movie.
That is not a horror.
So
you said teen.
Yeah, so
teen.
It's got a fairly cliche, classic sort of setup.
Billy, I'm going to shower.
Exactly,
and then he
sexy,
jumps out of the cabinet.
Yeah, the story goes: 8 teenagers, a remote mountain on the anniversary of their friend's mysterious death. The power's out, there's no phone reception, and you're trying to get the blonde cheerleader to notice you. What could possibly go wrong? Well, crazy killer guy pitches up and starts slowly murdering everyone.
Do I get to play the crazy killer guy?
Who knows?
That'd be so rad.
No, you don't. I think you're one of the teenagers, and you've got to escape, or maybe it sort of switches between each character's story and imminent death. Something like that. It's move enabled, so expect a lot of weird, awkward flailing with the wands to solve puzzles and stuff.
So I'm
going
to guess you're talking about PS3.
Yep, PS3
Okay, sorry,
exclusive. Yeah, this is Sony stuff.
Oh, that's right. You did say Sony. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think we just got a flash of the killer there on screen. So anyway, that's why I wanted to skim over that one. Not particularly interesting new game that was announced. Hey, it might be the next big thing.
It's for a different crowd.
Different crowd, exactly. Yeah. Another one of Sony's games was Puppeteer, which I was sufficiently charmed by. Another exclusive. It is being made by, and let me just get my notes, so Japan Studios, with a very experienced creative director there. He's been living in Japan for a number of years, and the game is based on, I must just read here to make sure I get this right, based on a particular form of Japanese theatre, puppet theatre. Where there's usually 3 guys controlling one of these giant puppets. It's not like puppets on strings. It's actual gigantic puppets on a stage. And a lot of what happens is the characters stay on stage and the scenery changes around the characters.
From the gameplay trailer we're looking at, it looks a lot like Little Big Planet.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling platformer, not so much like Little Big Planet.
Well, quirky art style, side-scrolling.
Yes, exactly. It's going to rely heavily on its aesthetic. Very cool presentation, art style, sound effects, music. We got treated to some of the music, which you can go watch the trailer to get a taste of that. It's still very much in development. They haven't even recorded the official voices yet. Gavin Moore, the creative director, he was doing all the voices in the trailer, and he did a pretty good job of it as well. So, anyway,
also a PS3 exclusive.
Yep, PS3 exclusive.
I'm going to be coming over to your house a lot.
So, the cool technical aspects of this game is because it's, presented as like it's a theater, this Bunraku puppet theater.
Oh, Bunraku, because comment from the RC was if it's Kabuki theater.
No, Bunraku puppet theater is the ancient Japanese traditional theater style that they're inspired by, amongst other things. Other inspirations were Monty Python, animated Terry Gilliam. He did all the cool little animated cutscenes between the Monty Python skits, and Tim Burton was cited as a creative influence for this guy. So so they can keep the camera. He said, "Look, we can get a lot of power out of this PlayStation 3 because we keep the camera focused on one scene. There's no changing of cameras, no changing of angles. They can, everything gets rendered in one scene. So they have up to 140 stage lights. They call them all working at once, and the stages do these amazing things. They'll rotate. They'll rotate around the character. They'll flip, so you're suddenly in a top-down thing. They'll rotate circular like this while you run around the outside of a tower. If you can follow my explanation, so it's a side-scrolling platformer, but it's rotating in a circular motion, but you're focused on it from one perspective. They're really playing with your perception. It's like you're watching a theater show, and what's cool is they add in the audience, so every time the character does something, the player does something cool, the audience claps, and it's very pantomime-y. So when the bad guys appear, everyone boos, and when the hero appears, everyone claps and cheers, and it's just very fun, very interactive, very colorful. Something for gamers from a young age right up until your hardcore gamer. I think it looked really amazing. Something I'm very keen to get my hands on. Different. It's not all Marines and shooting and stuff. It's a bit of a different title there. So it's one to look out for. And finally, another Sony exclusive was, as I mentioned briefly earlier, Media Molecule's Tearaway, which is their new physics puzzler. These are the guys who did Little Big Planet. And Tearaway, now let me just bring up my notes here. So their art direction, again, relying very heavily on the art direction to make the game distinct and stand out. So they started looking at origami and what you can do with papercraft. And they say all of the characters, all of the scenery, everything in the game, you could conceivably recreate in real life with papercraft. And they even have on their website a bunch of stuff you can print out and fold up yourself and make the little characters if you want. So this is a Vita game. It won't be on PS3. So they're going to make use of the rear touchscreen, for example, and you'll actually be able to, by touching the rear touchpad, stick your fingers into the game world. So you'll see your fingers come through the screen, and using your fingers, you'll be able to help the little main character solve the physics puzzles or fight off the enemies and stuff like that. So they're doing some cool stuff with the Vita's capabilities. They'll swap out the perspective a lot because you can rotate it and tilt stuff. So you may have to roll a ball through a maze, for example, to pass through that particular section of a physics puzzle. So again, art aesthetic is going to carry this game through. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I'm keen on getting my hands on it. Yeah.
No, cool.
And that wasn't it. And Capcom they were at Gamescom for the first time, and they unveiled Remember Me, which is a futuristic sort of sci-fi action-adventure, third-person platforming sort of thing. And you play what was the story? It's very convoluted. So you're in Neo Paris in the year 2084, and the female protagonist is named Nilin, and her memory has been erased. It's a bit of futurism here. So there's a company that could download your memories. They implant a chip at the base of your skull, and they can download your memories, upload them to a server, and also interact with your memories there. So in the world of high espionage, this sort of thing is rife. And what has happened is that the corporations invented this technology have got out of control. Not even the governments can keep them under control because they're just far too powerful now. So you are basically a freedom fighter who sets out to try and bring down these evil corporations, and obviously there's conspiracies afoot. Your memory has been erased, so as you play through the game, you will no doubt be piecing things together. One of the cool mechanics, apart from the platforming and that sort of stuff, which was fairly standard, was you actually go into guys' memories and rearrange them. So the scene they showed, your goal was to get one of the high-ranking, guys in the enemy organization to kill himself. It had to look like suicide. So you infiltrate his memory. You have a look at a situation that may have caused him to be upset, and you rearrange it. You manipulate his memory. So in this case, he broke up with his girlfriend, and she just stormed out. So you manipulate it so that it looks like, to him, he recalls it as he murdered his girlfriend. And when he comes back to reality, he's all of a sudden very emo that he murdered his girlfriend and decides to take his own life. So it looks like suicide, mission accomplished, you sneak away, cackling like an assassin. So it looked really cool. I mean, this was our first look at it. So we wait to see more from Capcom on that one. Yeah, so those were the new announcements, and not much else really in terms of new announcements from Gamescom.
Okay, cool.
About rounds it up, yeah.
Well, no discussion about the recent gaming announcements and releases will be complete without talking about Guild Wars 2, which launched earlier this week. But before we get to that, Nedbank's launched an app.
Hooray!
Oh, that means that there's only one big bank, who hasn't launched an app, and that's
ABSA. And they've said that one is in the pipe.
Yeah, they said that from the last reports that we've got on Business Tech, the app will only be out next year. They said end of this year or start of next year. And Nedbank is also only on Android at the moment, and they said that they're going to branch out to other platforms by the end of the year. So, just a quickie.
Wow.
And perhaps one more before we talk about Guild Wars. Skydrive for Android. Another
yes,
Android
I
app.
saw
Skydrive
that in the notes, and I don't know when this has been out now for at least 2 months.
Okay,
Really?
Yes, that I've actually. I'm obviously, I've said this before. I'm on all the cloud storages, and I joined Skydrive a couple of years ago, so I've still got access to the 25 gig storage.
Same.
And
Not that I use it.
Well, like I figured out earlier this week, Skydrive has got no size limit on single files. So if you need to pump files that's bigger than 50 megs, use Skydrive. And then and the fact I've got it on.
And when you work with high resolution video, for example,
well, cloud storage is not really an option yet in this country. So yes.
But if you're in a pinch.
If you're in a pinch and you really need to back up the stuff, Skydrive is a good service. I mean, works simple and it works. And I know Skydrive has got a what's it called, WebDAV connection. So you can actually use it on Linux as well. Just mount the HTTP link to it, log in, and off you go.
I think I've tried doing that and it didn't work.
No, it does work, but I think Tim pointed out there is a problem with the caching then. So it's a real-time connection.
Yeah.
You're not synchronizing it.
Yeah.
So you're going to run 2 copies of everything on your machine. But I saw it in.
Look like that?
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it's.
What's the date on that?
This is the 28th. This is yesterday.
From Microsoft.
No, this is from Android Police. So they may have been a little bit behind, but I don't think they'll be 2 months behind.
No, sorry. Go check quickly in the App Store and the Play Store. What's the date on the app there? But in any case, so it looks like that. But
they only show the latest date, which is the 28th. So
look, Microsoft knows it's not always it's not made war with Linux. So I think it's always try to accommodate somewhere. I mean, if you go look in the Play Store, you'll actually see that the Notes OneNote. There's actually Android OneNote application from Microsoft.
There's OneNote. There was the other one.
On X.
The On X, which is Android only. Because some of the things that they do in there is something that Windows Phone just can't
Microsoft
do.
has always sort of indicated that if a platform is popular enough and people demand an application on that platform, that they'll put it there.
They'll put it there.
And On X was, very much an experiment.
Yeah.
But I'll go double check. I've definitely had the Skydrive app on my
Skydrive, it's version 1 and it says the 28th.
It might be that I've been running actually not the one from Microsoft.
Yeah, this is an official one from Microsoft.
That might be the story.
And the interesting thing is they didn't do a whole Metro interface, let's make it look like a Microsoft, a Windows Phone app. It looks very much like an Android ice cream sandwich, jelly bean kind of app, but you can see some Windows Phone influences, the bold colors and the flat 2D-ness.
Interesting.
But it looks good.
Good.
And
all right. More cloud storage.
More cloud storage across more platforms. Yes. Booyah.
All right, so Guild Wars 2 launched earlier this week. If you pre-ordered, pre-purchased, I should say, they actually drew a distinction between pre-purchasing and pre-ordering. Pre-purchase means you've given them your money.
Actual money, yeah.
Pre-ordering means you've ordered it. If you've pre-ordered, you got a day early access. If you pre-purchased, you got 3 days early access to the game.
Ooh.
And the game, the retail copies became available on Tuesday. And if you don't know, Guild Wars is a massively multiplayer online game. Now it's a massively multiplayer online game. Guild Wars 1, they called themselves a competitive online role-playing game because it wasn't really massive. The only place where there were lots of people in one place were the towns. It wasn't like WoW. Now, Guild Wars 2 is a lot more like WoW, but without a monthly subscription. So you pay, your 450 Rand or whatever it is to buy the box, and you never have to pay ever again.
But they do have in-game transactions.
They do now have the microtransactions started in Guild Wars 1 to give you extra character slots and so on and so forth. Now, so they've taken that concept further. There will be microtransactions if you so wish. A lot of them are aesthetic. A lot of them are just to skip ahead and not grind so much. Like you can exchange effectively money for gold. So you buy these gem packs, and then you can convert gems to gold, and it's dependent on in-game currency fluctuations and stuff. There's a whole
fantastic.
Wow.
But it's not like Eve in the sense that you can almost make money out of the system. You won't. From the looks of it, this won't let you get money. This won't really let you get money out.
Yeah, could a reselling emerge with this game? Kind of like how WoW Gold is now.
Yeah, maybe
black market.
Maybe,
item.
But it's not like Diablo, which actually has a real money auction house that actually goes to players.
So what do you think of the actual game? Hugo, our reviewer, cancelled his pre-order because he played the beta weekend leading up to the launch, and he said they haven't fixed bugs. I'm cancelling my pre-order.
Okay, I don't know what he got angry with, but there are a lot of things that weren't working at launch. And yesterday, the big launch day, I had friends who couldn't create characters. The servers were down. You could log in, you could get to the character
That's gonna
generation,
annoy you.
you could go all the way through the 10 steps, and there's a lot of character customization. You can change everything from basic things like the height to how close eyes are together to the size of the nose. And then like the shapes of everything, like there's a lot of deep
All
customizations.
those things you'll never actually ever look at again or notice.
You can customize
Awesome.
those things, and then you get to step 10, and you go, create my character, please, and it goes,
Sorry.
can't help you.
And then does it boot you back to the start and you
No,
you
it just
lost all
goes,
your
there's an
changes?
error, and then you've got a choice. You can either just leave the game running
And try again later.
and hope that
The servers come back on in the next hour.
and then you can just click and you'll be able to keep that stuff. Or you quit your PC, shut it down, and go to sleep because
And
you've
go
got work
cry
the
in a
next
corner.
day.
Yeah.
So
I mean, these games are massive. I mean, I'm not surprised. That sounds like a pretty stupid
the auction
bug to
auction
have.
house and the gem store. The auction house was down all throughout early access, and the gem store went down on the main launch day. So like
Launch day is always a
the
mess,
forums
isn't
are
it?
off, so
Yeah.
there's no place for people to complain
can
but Twitter.
only
Point me at an online game
Thank
that
you.
this hasn't happened with,
Yeah.
or
Thank
that
you.
something
It's to
along
be
those lines
expected,
hasn't
really.
happened with. Even Blizzard couldn't get it right.
Yes.
So once you got into it, it's
Oh, well, I mean, I was lucky because of early access. I got to make my character and stuff. I had no problem. So I logged in, played my game yesterday on launch day. Had no problems at all. It was a bit lag spiky on occasions, but I had no issues as a guy who already created his character. I mean, not being able to use the auction house sucks. But I'm also not quite like the hardcore guys out there who already have like a stash full of gear.
that they want to sell off. Yeah.
And the thing is, you
the
can
market.
expand your stash with gems, which you buy for real money. But that store was down.
So now gems, can you earn gems in game? You don't have to
Yes,
spend real
you
money.
can actually grind for gold and convert that to gems if you need to.
Okay.
All right, on the screen now, I'm seeing the collector's edition.
I got one of those.
You got one of those.
It's
So,
very impressive.
I'm seeing some artwork. Is that artwork that you should be framing and putting up on your walls, kind of artwork?
Yes, it actually comes with a frame.
Wow.
So
Okay.
and then it's got various pieces of artwork that you can swap out into the frame.
Obviously, the art and storybook by the looks of things.
Yeah,
And
they call it the making of hardback, and then a massive char figurine. Like this is difficult to describe. You know, normally you buy a collector's edition, and if you've got the Diablo,
Well, that thing's a foot high, isn't it?
yeah. So
12 inches, which is
it's
who knows how many
big.
centimeters.
It's a big thing. I mean, this thing would have had to have its own little space in the container. Like shipping this thing must have been massively expensive to South Africa.
I figured
That's why you
the Witcher
pay that
bust
premium.
was pretty impressive, and the same thing that they did for was it Duke Nukem.
3D with a bust of Duke. Yeah.
But those were small.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are puny.
That was
this guy stands. This is
decent
bigger
bust.
than the figurines the WoW figurines you buy at Anime Works. This is bigger than those. This thing is huge. That's
Wow.
awesome.
Very cool.
Very imposing. And I must say,
and of course the game.
yeah.
Who buys collector's edition?
ArenaNet have never ever disappointed me with the collector's edition, and that's the only reason I ordered it. This was ridiculously expensive, 1,300 rand, and the only reason I was willing to float that money was because it was ArenaNet.
You better play with that thing in the bath every night.
Yeah, what's it made of?
I haven't checked.
How heavy- how heavy is it?
It looked
It's heavyish.
like a painted plastic to me.
The bottom
I
is
played with it a
plastic.
bit.
The bottom is plastic,
Yeah.
but the top isn't.
It
might be
It was
resin.
well painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, resin maybe. It
Yeah.
was well
Okay, well,
painted.
yeah.
So
Plastic resin.
All right. There's one last thing that was a big story this week that we have to absolutely touch on. We just have to. And that's a company called Infoview TV, Infoview.tv if you're looking for them, that wants to not only launch an uncapped, unshaped ADSL service account, specifically for $5.50 a month, they want to launch an internet TV streaming service for 99 Rand a month, 70 HD channels. Right? So for like $1,000 a month, just over $1,000 a month, 70 HD channels and uncapped, unshaped ADSL. Which
pie in the sky.
Okay,
Is it going to
have they
happen?
got any impressive channels on that?
yeah, they've got Sky, they've got one US and 2 UK providers, and in the small 70 package, they've got 50 odd channels from the UK and the rest from the rest of Europe, France, Germany, etc. And those include Sky. I think I saw BBC in there.
Yeah,
So
BBC 5, 6, and 7, or was it BBC 1, 2, and 3?
1, 2, and 3. Let me fire up InfoView.
That would be consideration.
Yeah. So no, it looked on like at the
Yes, Gerrit.
Is 4 or 10 meg enough to be able to stream HD content?
this guy reckons 4 meg is enough for streaming one HD.
HD meaning 720p here.
Yeah.
Yep.
He did,
Like I said
he did say
earlier before the
1080p.
show, you can do 1080p.
Yeah, there's
It's
just no
gonna be
1080p.
compressed.
Yeah, there's just no 1080p content.
All you do is you push the H.264 codec into it, and you just say you only want 4 megs out of it. So what you're going to see is probably on the black scenes, you're going to see those breakups of the color breaking through and that, but it will still come through. You can do it at 4 meg.
All right, so here's a list of some of the channels. All right,
Yes.
so Channel 5, Discovery HD, France 2, Fox Crime, Disney, Nat Geo, France 4, Nat Geo Wild, Sky Cinema Family, Sky Sports 1, Sky News,
So there's a bunch of the Sky channels.
Sci-Fi,
Sci-Fi
BBC HD, History Channel, Sky Comedy, Sky Romance and Drama, Sky Action, Sky Horror and Sci-Fi, Penthouse 1, 2, Hustler TV, and FX HD. Apparently, ICASA, they've got a lot of stuff with ICASA. I don't know how ICASA is going to feel about Penthouse 1, 2, and Hustler TV, considering that they pretty much sent Top TV packing.
Yeah, but wasn't that for a different reason?
No, that's because they wanted to launch porn channels. And they told Top TV no, because
Corrupting our youth.
because for some reason ICASA is allowed to censor these things.
yeah,
now.
they're the moral watchdogs of society. All
Let's
of a
not go
sudden,
into that.
Yeah,
Let's not go into that.
Okay.
yeah. It's actually not about that, but and that still needs to get sorted out.
Yeah.
So Top TV said that they are investigating their options and have not acted yet. I mean, they can appeal the decision, and
But let's not get into
and they've
that.
not and they've not
There's
acted.
some good channels there. Yeah, like
There's
I said.
a lot of good
Okay,
channels,
but
and they're
BBC
launching
And
this
they've
for
got
if
10
I-
beta testers, and they said that they're running on 180 odd channels. Those 10 beta testers, including channels from the US.
just my comment earlier, it's BBC HD, so it's not BBC One.
Yes,
Because
it's not
BBC, 1, 2, and 3 are their primary channels.
Yes,
That's
yes.
where you'll see Doctor Who.
So tell us about the internet account. These guys they want to sell their own account.
Yeah. So I asked them, listen, okay, so will your service just run on your own ADSL account? And they said, no, they're not really picky about whose ADSL or whose internet connection. I mean, they don't even care if it's ADSL. You can run it on 3G, but you're going to cough up an arm and, you're going to cough up a lung. You're going to,
streaming HD. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be so ridiculously expensive at 2 rand a meg. I know I'm like angering so many people in mobile right now. But even at the cheapest, which is ATA, at 199 rand for 10 gigs, I mean, that's still going to
How
cost you a
fast
lot
are you
of
going to
money.
burn through that?
Yeah, very.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, so yeah, they want to get into that space. But I don't think they'd be opposed to somebody like MWeb going, hey, we'll give you an uncapped, maybe not unshaped, but we will not shape.
Prioritize
Yeah, we'll
the
prioritize the
stream-
this
video
video
traffic,
channel.
that video
Yeah,
traffic.
for $5.50 a month. But then block torrents, for example. So just block it outright on that connection, for example, just to allow video streaming.
$5.50 a month.
Dude,
That's not bad.
For unshaped.
The thing that I'm sketchy about here is, of course, that now we're doing the same kind of thing where you have your ADSL connection and your TV is now at the same provider. So if you lose one, you lose both. Or if you do something wrong on the one, you lose everything.
yeah.
And then you have to go find a new provider for all your things. So you're bundling everything together with one guy, which I kind of don't like.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but so that's $5.50 a month for the ADSL package. It's 99 rand a month for just the IPTV streaming service. From these
and that's for the 99 rand a month for 70 channels. So there's
Oh,
full
okay,
HD
so no-
channels.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're still working on a bunch of other packages. They weren't willing to disclose that yet. In fact, they didn't want to. I mean, they actually didn't want to speak to the media much at all. They just, but they were willing to give me an idea of where they are right now. But I don't know. I'm worried. To be honest, I'm worried about the implications of getting streaming content in from overseas to South Africa, because why has that not been done before? Top TV complains about multi-choice locking down most of the content and making it almost impossible for them to get decent content on their platform to compete against multi-choice. So how can if Top TV could just
stream it in.
Just plop down a streaming server and go, hey.
Yeah, and maybe you'd know better. I mean, is the complication in broadcasting that now via satellite versus getting it over the internet? What is the difference really?
That remains to be seen. And apparently the topic of IP streaming at ICASA is not as clear cut as it should be. Is this ICASA's jurisdiction?
Well, with Councillor Stuckey that said at iWeek last year that there's no restriction on streaming videos over the internet.
Yep.
Then these guys just have to take that little piece out of his speech and say, "Well, what the hell?"
There we go.
There we go.
And I think so. But that said, where ICASA does wield power is their set-top box needs ICASA approval. So that's the one place where ICASA can say, "No, we're not approving this box," based on the rest of the.
Only if that set-top box is directly linked into the telco.
Well,
if you got to have an ADSL service with a network point into that set-top box, ICASA's got no say.
You're right. There's still networking equipment in that thing. So I don't want to comment on something that I'm not clear on.
Your mediators and your extremers are not ICASA approved.
Yes, but maybe they should be. I mean, these things are, anyway.
99 rand a month. I mean, I'm one of the lucky few with 10 meg ADSL, and it works.
Oh, just back up and go.
It just works beautifully.
Just get out.
I might just pay 99 rand a month to get some cool TV channels in full HD. Streams.
No, man, that's just no.
Well, I've got 6 meg now, or at least I'm syncing at 6 meg. So
I'm also syncing at 6 meg, but still.
Don't blame me, blame Telkom.
We do every day.
But
this looks very juicy.
Yeah, indeed.
And
if it happens, by the way, we missed an important detail, which is that they're talking about launching during January 2013. That's what they're aiming at. Obviously, obviously there's all these provisos. I mean, they have to go through ICASA and all that stuff. And it would be very cool. I mean, if their service providers are above board, the guys who provide the actual channels, if it's all legal and above board, because I've never heard of this before, of being able to provide legal streaming video services through a channel aggregator. I've just never come across that, which is why I'm a little worried.
No, it's possible.
Okay. No, good. I'm glad. I'm really rooting for these guys because this would be some insane competition for the higher end user in South Africa.
Yeah.
And that would put real pressure on DSTV Premium. And poor Top TV will be even harder pressed to compete in the marketplace. But, I mean, from competition comes innovation, as has been shown by the landing of Seacom in South Africa and ISPs launching various packages, eventually giving us affordable Uncapped. So,
and now they're still warring at that.
Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely.
So competition is good. With that, thank you very much for joining our show. And we're going to give away a little something to people who participate in the IRC.
I have a phone call. Gabe? Yeah. No, Half-Life 3 is not ready yet. Maybe 2013.
No.
Okay, 2013. All right, cheers,
No.
Gabe. That was Gabe.
Type with Gabe.
Yeah.
Do we insert the donut joke here or not? I just extended Half-Life 3.
He's sensitive about that.
Okay, well, tell us what is that?
What is this thing? It's a Bluetooth hands-free.
Handpiece.
It's
Other way
perfect
around.
for VoIPing. No, this is the...
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Don't know. It doesn't matter.
No, that's the
certainly
earpiece.
this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is cool for when you're playing World War II real-time strategy games and you want that authentic VoIP experience, like, reinforce the front lines! And you can slam it down and, cool.
Absolutely. And it's even red.
And it's red, because that's the
red
emergency
telephone,
phone color.
exactly.
Yeah, not so good for Call of Duty. You might have to tape it to your head, but Bluetooth hands-free. This will really piss off the cops when you cruise by on the highway. Hands-free.
It's my Bluetooth headset.
So we're giving that away tonight to one lucky participant in the IRC. If you have typed a single word in IRC, I guess it would be fair to qualify you for the competition, and we'll do a random draw after these brief rest messages from our sponsors at ThinkGeek. I play. We actually bought this with our own money. It's a kind gift from my broadband to give away on Let's Talk Geek.
Thanks, Rudolph.
Yep. And so we're going to give this bad boy away.
It does come with a box.
We
will clean it.
We're not going to give it away during the recording of the show, so we're going to sign off now. Joining us today was James Etherington Smith from MyGaming and MyBroad. Yep. James, where can people find you online?
Always mygaming.co.za. Come find me on the forum or give me a call or James_E_S on Twitter.
Rad.
Yeah.
Gerrit, where can people find you?
About.me/hockeyza. Just go there. Do it now.
Cool. Johan Els, where can people find
Website
you?
www.who-else.co.za. Fantasy.
Good stuff.
Where can people find you?
I'm Jan Vermeulen. I'm the staff writer at My Broadband. I say that as if there's only one. And
There is. It's Jan. Blame him.
and you can just blame me for everything.
Yes.
But I spend most of my online time there. When I'm not there, I'm occasionally on Twitter at JanVZA. And when I'm not there, I'm occasionally on Google+. And I have a Facebook account, but I never use it. But you can hit me up there, drop me a mail, jan@mybroadband.co.za, if you prefer more traditional means of communication. And
You can try snail mail if you can find their offices.
if you can find our postal address, I don't even know what that is. With that, thank you very, very much for joining us. Just a reminder to like us, circle us, follow us, plus us, buzz
And
us.
RSS. Join the RSS.
Yeah, we have
pull
RSS as well.
Unlike certain podcasts, no, I guess the very definition of a podcast is that you can download. So we don't just stream. We have downloads available as well.
Uh-huh.
So you can download our whole archive, and
Or you can watch it on YouTube.
YouTube or on letstalknetwork.tv or on letstalkgeek.net. I think we'll redirect you to the Let's Talk Geek URL itself, and you'll be able to just watch our shows.
And
there.
again, if you prefer more conventional means of communication, you can drop us a mail. Anything goes here at ltnet.tv.
So if you've made a mistake, for example, you can go, ha noobs, you made a mistake at ltnet.tv, and that should get to us. So, and we will feature your scathing remark on our content.
Usually in the beginning.
Yes, with torches and pitchforks and
Yes.
so on and so forth.
Like that on the video.
Like that
yeah.
that you're currently seeing now.
Yeah, if you're watching the video right now, you'll see a very humorous slide. Let that be an encouragement to watch the video and not just listen to the audio. However, I guess if you have to listen to the audio while driving, it's better to listen to the audio than to try and watch us. So
We don't condone watching videos while driving.
with that, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. And you can check out some of our other shows as well. Let's Talk Possibility.
On Mondays.
On Monday nights.
Yep.
So with that, thank you very much. Chat later.
Good night.